Yes, welcome along to episode 11 of Upping The Ante in association with Bet365 with David Jennings and Johnny Dineen, counting down to the 2023 Cheltenham Festival. Can you believe we're on to episode 11, Johnny? We're in the home straight.
Is that right? Yeah, well, we're more than halfway.
We're after turning for home, so we are, yeah. Are you still on the bridle?
I'm going okay, yeah.
You're going okay, yeah. A few backhanders early on. Now, the question that comes in every week, Johnny, and I'm sick of putting it into the questions from the crowd, but it's the one question everybody wants to know. Did Johnny Dineen win or lose in the last week?
Actually, look, how was it? I playing away all week. I actually won yesterday, Monday, so it was a good start to this week anyway. Didn't do any harm last week. Was playing away, lost Saturday, not a lot, and won Sunday. Roughly got out over the break even over 2 weeks, but over the 2 days. Like Saturday and Sunday's probably a big part of my punting week. You know what I mean? You kind of bet more and bet bigger even on the Saturday. Yeah. The race is slightly better Saturday, Sunday. But what's happening to me a lot lately is getting off the cruel starts, desperate starts, getting myself into bother every single day.
Getting left in the traps.
Yeah, getting slowly away and hitting a few losers early on, and then you're playing catch up and like a much better front runner. Like, oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's no.
Make a stand.
A lot less. Forrest Gump even. There's a lot less strain from the front. It's a different ball game from behind. You really have to mind yourself when you get detached early on, and you're capable of turning a bad day into a real bad day.
So did you have a bad start on Saturday and
Sunday? I did, and Sunday, yeah.
Right, go on.
Bad start Saturday.
Elaborate.
What did I do Saturday? I got involved in some horse in Warwick, and laid it and running and just pulling and knocking down every hurdle and bolted in afterwards, and then I laid a winner in Wetherby, just about won, Hitchin Jackin or something.
How did that win?
Yeah, I don't know. It won anyway, and I was in desperate condition early on even now, and I backed. I got myself back into play gradually anyway. Now I got it back to manageable proportions. And Sunday the exact same thing happened. We got off to a dreadful start and.
Did you lay Impair et Pass? Because obviously I read your column in the Racing-Post and you were very lukewarm in Impair et Pass, which I was very surprised about.
Yeah, no, I didn't do anything in that race. I had no bet in that race. He was easy enough to back to.
He was yeah, like, maybe they were reading your column.
I doubt it, I'd say. He was. They'd have been bitten four on him. I'd say this is certainly, he man doesn't fancy it. Look, I didn't have a bet. It was 1.3 and I was checking my phone. Next day I looked, it was 1.46. It was 4-9, heading for twos on. I didn't have a bet in the race now either way. I didn't get started. I got started, I laid the next winner though. Tactical move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was more that needed the run, and I had a chance at it and got myself laid another hard start, bad start, but worked my way back, and I backed Impervious. That got me back into play on Sunday anyway.
Yeah, she was very good.
She won anyway.
We'll talk about her later in the show. So your best result of the last week was?
My best result, I'd say, not figures wise, but my best result was Haddock's Desobo on Saturday.
Yes.
Because I was in rag order facing it, and if it didn't win, like I was really in trouble for the day now.
And were you happy to see third time lucky chasing you on the home turn? I'd say?
I was happy at all stages. Yeah, like I was like from about 5 out, you were saying just please don't fall now, whatever you do. You know
and Racing-Post readers will know that it was your wager of the weekend. So you got your banker up, and your worst result of the last 7 days?
My worst result was, again, it wasn't the biggest bet I had, but I had a few quid on that Feddens at 9-2.
I thought that should have won.
I don't think it should have won, but it was. If you look back at the race,
this is at Fairy House
on Saturday. Yeah. If you look back at the race on Saturday, it was the only race where a thing came from the clouds and actually won. Everything else was ridden up in the van. And that the winner of that race was what could have been. It was ridden by that young fella Kelly. He rode well. He's riding well. That chap, and he's good for £7. He's decent, yeah. But like when Feddens got it solo in front, and I said, "Oh, lovely! Look at this for a start." They got about 6 lengths out of the gate for nothing, and was bossing the race. I said, "This is going to hose in." Like
it kept going.
It did, yeah, but it just wasn't good enough. Like, it was no way unlucky or anything like that. No, but halfway through the race, I'm saying to myself, "I'm in business here anyway." Like you know what I mean. But it didn't win it.
Your money.
Yeah, I was kind of quarter counting it anyways, right? Yeah,
but. You were on front for the week. It was a profitable week for Johnny Dineen.
It was. It's a small profit now.
Small profit. Your small profit is big to everybody else.
No, it's not a small profit. I'm happy enough with it.
Well, there's plenty to talk about, so let's get on with the show. So folks, I'm sure you know by now, Members Club is the ultimate racing subscription, and you can get the first month for free. All you've got to do is click on the link in the video description and you can get the first month for free. You can read the newspaper, the digital version at 9 o'clock the night before. You can read all the fabulous articles, all the interviews, anything you want. You've got to become a Racing-Post member. So as ever here on Upping The Ante, we're going to kick off with our questions from the crowd. And before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment. and share everything Upping The Ante. So the first question this week comes in from Mike O'Rourke, and it's a good one, Johnny. What is our ultimate cliff horse? The one horse we got completely wrong in our careers. How long have you got, Mike? How long have you got?
I'd have a lot of cliff horses, but I'll try and come up with something more recent. Cliff horse for me, the latter few years would have been All Mankind.
Oh, yeah.
Like he started off running in like a 3 or 4 year old hurdle in Warwick, went off 100 mile, your man couldn't hold it, like this kind of stuff, and won 100 yards. So next thing it lands in Cheltenham at maybe November meeting. Yeah, and it was around 11 to 4. I said, there's no way it can get away with this sort of nonsense that it did in Warwick and Cheltenham. Did anyway, beat Botax high 11 to 4, won, lost me brains, laid it. Then it appeared in Chepstow and in that summit hurdle, it's the one in the 27th. It was a grade 1 at the time. I said to myself, there's no way I can get away with this on heavy ground anyway, like, you know what I mean? Like in Chepstow.
So are you turning this around? Your ultimate cliff horse is one that won races, that you laid?
Yeah, I thought that's the question.
All right, no.
I thought the question was something that your horse you got wrong, no?
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah, but for me it'd be a horse that you fell in love with. More than that.
No, this is the one that...
We have a breakdown in communications here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll go what mine,
yeah, okay.
and viewers will know my two big ones. A very recent one would be Might Eye.
Right, okay.
Who I tipped for the Stayers Hurdle, who I've said on shows going into last year's Cheltenham Festival that he was the best handicapped horse in England or Ireland off 135, and I still think he's a very good horse, but he's the one that just grabs me in every time.
Right.
And the big one before that would have been Mr. Fisher.
Okay.
Mr. Fisher and me go way back to the time he ran in the Supreme won by Classical Dream, I think.
Okay.
And I remember going into preview nights that year and saying to myself, this horse is an absolute machine. You know, wait till this horse goes over fences. He's going to win the Arkle. He's going to win the Queen Mother. He's going to win this. He's going to win that. He won nothing. He won nothing. So me and Mr. Fisher, we broke up about a year ago.
Right, okay.
We've been texting a little bit ever since, right? But I'm kind of... I blocked his phone number, okay?
Right,
so me and Mr. Fisher are finished, but the current Mr. Fisher is Might Eye. So those would be my two cliff horses. But I'm enjoying your rant about All Mankind.
I thought it was a horse you were looking for that cost me plenty.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah. We can change the question for you.
Yeah, okay.
Which horse has cost you most money?
Yeah, well, this is definitely one of them, because he landed in the Triumph Hurdle next. I laid him to be placed, and it was on Goshen. Goshen fell into last. Your man fell into third. Done both bets. Right. So then he went chasing now, and the fun starts again. He turns up in Warwick. I said, she's lunatic. I said, he can do anything in the fence. Lays him, he wins. He goes to the King Henry, one of those grade 1 races in Sandown.
Yeah.
He's running against Hitman. I said, you can't get away with this. Surely can't keep getting away with this. He wins again. Right.
So you've laid him every time?
Every single day I oppose him, yeah. He goes to Warwick the next day, 7 to 4 on. I laid him again, right? He won. Now I got a bit of reprieve in him. I laid him in 2 places against Shishkin. I got him beat out of second place. And only in the last 100 yards as well. And he ran desperate the same day.
This was in the Arkle?
Yes, yeah.
It was
Eldorado Allen
Cotton under a brilliantly placed ride from Harry Cobden,
yeah. I can't remember who rode him. But then he went to Ayr then, 2.5 mile. Like he's by See the Moon. He stayed like 10 furlong horse in the flat.
Right.
I said he's a million out at 2.5 mile race. He can't hope he getting the trip. Bolted in again about 11 to 10, and the following season he made his debut. I think it was his first or second time in the old Roan Chase with about 17 stone he had. I said to myself, he can't win here surely, and he won again. So at that stage, I did get something back. He ran in Huntington in that Peterborough Chase, the 5 to 4. I laid him that day, but I'd say about 10 from 12 anyway. You know what I mean?
So All Mankind.
It's a costly animal.
It's cost you your sitting room.
Yeah, well, he's cost me some share of something anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Any others to add to the list?
Well, like I can't ever remember. I never had a horse like that I followed over a cliff, kept backing him, that kept winning, because like I look at horses differently insofar as I back him one day and lay him the next. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't get attached to them.
Not really, no.
Okay.
Not really, no. Not really.
But All Mankind anyway.
No, All
he owes you a favour.
Well, he was a costly animal for me, definitely. Yeah.
There you go, Mike. I think we kind of answered your question there. So our next question this week comes in from Carol Clifford, and Carol Clifford is sucking the juice and all the pips out of us here, Johnny. This is a proper question, right? We're going to have to work hard for this one. It's a marathon, okay? So Carol says there are 10 favourites, 7 to 4 or shorter, with Bet365 for the Cheltenham Festival, okay? And she wants us to give them a mark out of 10. So see, to find out how vulnerable we think each of them are, okay? So 10 being the highest, an absolute certainty, and 0 being no chance, okay?
Okay.
So the 10. Are you ready now, Johnny, right?
Yeah.
There's a big test, okay? Here we go, okay?
Right.
So let's kick off a Facile Vega in the Supreme. A mark out of 10, please.
I'd give that a 9.
9, okay.
9,
I thought that might be a 10 for you.
No, it's well, like, given 10, I'd be saying no betting at all, but 9, I'd go 9, yeah.
9, okay.
Yeah.
So your confidence
like
is
I'd
still
say,
high.
I'll try and gauge it as, say, 0 to 10. Anything under 6, I won't be backing anyway, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Do you know, I'll put it that way to you.
Okay, and anything near 10 is a big bet.
Well, if the prices allow it, it is anyway, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, so a 9 first of all for...
Yeah, I'll go with 9 Facile Vega.
9 Facile Vega. I'll give Facile Vega 9 as well. I think he's close to bomb-proof, even though a lot of people think otherwise. There we go. That's Facile Vega in the Supreme. Okay, John Bon in the Arkle.
I'll go John Bon. At the minute, I'll go 7.5 maybe.
Oh, 7.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think he's the most likely winner. But saying that could change. He could go up or down depending on what happens at the Dublin Racing Festival at the same time, you know, and depending on what actually is going to be his main opponent. Who knows what that's going to be?
Okay, you're going 7.5. I'll go 6.5. I'll go slightly lower because I think a lot of those Willie novices are very good. Okay, so that is John Bon in the Arkle. Constitution Hill in the Champion
I'll give that a 10 anyway.
10, yeah. Bullseye.
I'll go for 10 there, yeah. Like there won't be a second 10. That's the only one I'll be given anyway.
Well, don't give it away, Johnny. You know, they could be watching to find out if there's another 10.
Well, there's nothing going to be as short as it anyway, is there? Like really, so. No.
What are the chances of you actually backing Constitution Hill straight on the day at 1 to 3, or that price?
Look, if I do, it'll be.
To get out of trouble.
It'll be to win drink money or something like that, or just to pay the excess for the day or something.
Yeah.
It won't be a.
You don't drink either.
No, but just the entrance fee or whatever.
Won't be that dear if you're buying Coke.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I'll probably won't back it. No, I probably won't back it.
Okay, so but he is a 10.
Yeah, he's a good thing. He's right. Yeah,
okay.
He is. Yeah.
Gallard de Menil in the National Hunt Chase.
Gallard de Menil is about a 4 in my eyes.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I'm giving him an 8.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Go on. I'm intrigued.
I'm not. I'm not as big a fan as Gallard de Menil as a lot of people are.
But like, what's he got to run against?
What's he got to run against? Well, I suppose you just don't know until the day. But you could see funny horses turning up in this race when the time comes. In my eyes, like, you know.
Okay.
It's a possibility that Jerry Calam will turn up in this race.
There is, yeah.
But if Jerry Calam turns up in this race anyway and he runs against Gallard de Menil, I'd expect him to be possibly the same price as Gallard de Menil anyway for starters. Look, you've other horses there, there's unexposed horses, and look, I know he won the last day, Gallard de Menil, but that race completely fell asunder.
It did.
And what I didn't like about Gallard de Menil the last day is before it fell asunder, you wouldn't like to be on him.
No, he didn't travel.
You know, and you wouldn't like to be on him. He's a nice history of finishing second and third in races too, and it wasn't very hard to win that race now, the race that he won in Leopardstown. No. Like, what price of Churchtown Warrior in this? Like $1 million, you know what I mean?
The only thing I will say to you on this, okay, people looking at Gallard de Menil and you're looking at the National Hunt Chase, like, people will be saying to themselves, hold on a second here, Johnny Dineen now. This horse has run in Irish Nationals. He's course form, okay, because he obviously good runs in the Ballymore and the Brendan Advisory, okay. He ran a big race in the Irish National. He's now won a Grade 1 over fences. He's got class. We know he stays. Like, he will stay, won't he?
Oh, yeah, he'll stay all right, yeah. He will.
He's got experience.
He should do anyway,
he's trained by Willie Mullins. He's going to be ridden by Patrick Mullins.
Yeah.
Like, and you're giving him a 4.
But he has plenty going for him. But I think there's a doubt over him myself. I do think there's a doubt over him. And like you're saying, he win a Grade 1. Like he beat a maiden chaser, Churchtown Warrior. He's still a maiden over fences at the same time. Okay. You know, he's probably a reasonable one at this. You know, but look, I don't like his profile overall. His seconds and thirds, and look, I think this might be a slightly...
He did win the last day now. He won.
He did.
Yeah, he won.
He did, but like he won because there was nothing else in the race except a horse that was beaten in Thurles in his previous run. Like fellas are saying you hear fellas saying, oh, he's a Grade 1 winner. That means nothing, Grade 1 winners. I mean, rubbish, isn't it? Like, it is, isn't it? Grade 1 winners.
Well, it's a fact.
I know it's a fact, but there are some horrible Grade 1s at the same time. And that was one of them. Like, you know, you see horses that win Grade 1s, and they're not Grade 1 horses at all.
But he is a Grade 1 horse, though, is he not? Is Gallard de Menil not a Grade 1 horse? He was second to the hot favourite for the Turners in the Drimmore. That was a big run against Mighty Potter.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, he's a Grade 1 contender, but he's not a Grade 1 proper winner, I think, in my eyes anyway. Like a proper Grade 1 horse would have won the Irish National off the weight he was on.
Well, that's true, yeah. Well, he did, yeah.
Look, this can be fairish race at the same time. Like Statler won it last year. He's only 10 or 11 to 1 for you know. There's goodish horses won this in the last few years. I just think he's vulnerable. I think he's far from a certainty anyway.
You're entitled to your opinion. Okay, so a 4 for Gallard O'Neill from Johnny. I'm giving him an 8. I think he'll be very hard to beat. Okay, moving on to Wednesday. An Ergamine in the Champion Chase. Obviously, we'll speak about the Clarence House later in the show. An Ergamine marks at a 10 for the...
I'd be giving that an 8. An 8, yeah. An 8. I wouldn't be going any higher than 8, but 8. I'd be giving them an 8, yeah.
Okay, I'll agree with you there. I'll give him an 8. Delta Work in the cross country?
Like Delta Work, that's the race I won't be having a bet in now. Like maybe it'll win. It'll be only a 5 as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm not backing Delta Work, no matter what he runs against, and no matter what price he is. I'm not interested in having a bet in that race anyway when the time comes. You know.
I think I might have found one to beat him, but
right.
We could talk about that in next week's show. That is Delta Work. Yeah, I'd probably give him a 6 to be honest with you. I think he'll probably be hard to beat, but we'll try and find something to beat him at some stage in the show. Allaho.
Look, Allaho for me would be another horse I won't be backing because if it looks like it's going to go there without a run. Look, okay, William Wonders can do lots of stuff with horses, but it's surely some sort of a negative at the same time. He'd only be a 5 for me now, and the chances of the chances of him even turning up, who knows will he turn up or not? You know, like they're all saying there's nothing wrong with him. Why isn't he running?
What price is he to run the race with Johnny Dineen right now?
I wouldn't back him at evens anyway myself to be running. Like, I don't know. I just hate the horses off with these layoffs and they're saying they're fine. Well, they're fine. Why aren't they running? Like they're not fine. That's why they're not running.
Quevega was fine, wasn't she?
Quevega was running in like at a lower level. Quevega was a grade 1 all-aged horse running against rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Almost invariably rubbish every year. Do you know what I mean? So you could do anything you like with her probably, and she'd win that race. She didn't even have to be at her best to like she'd go to Punchestown afterwards, and that's as good as she was. Whether she win there or get beat, whatever. You know what I mean? She won their years and she was beaten their years, wasn't she?
Absolutely.
But like she was running against like in the mare sort. That's a division below, isn't it? Like I think anyway. Okay. But this isn't the division below. But Allaho has a good bit in hand now of these horses normally at the same time.
So he's a 5.
That's all. I wouldn't entertain him myself.
I give him a 7. I think if he gets there, he's probably going to be odds on. That is Allaho in the Ryanair. Moving on to Friday, and we kick off with a hot favourite. Best price around about 11 to 8. Lossiemouth in the Triumph Hurdle. Well,
Lossiemouth probably would have been an 8 up until last weekend, but I'll take it maybe 2 notches off or bring it down.
Because of Blood Destiny?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, bring it down to 6 or maybe 7 or 6. I'll give her a 7 maybe. Yeah, 7. Yeah.
She'd be a 9 for me now.
Was she? Yeah. Well, she would have been bomb-proof for me up to last weekend, but I'm just having slight second thoughts about her now, really. You know.
Okay. Galloping the Champs in the Gold Cup.
Galloping the Champs is definitely only a 5 for me, if even that. I won't be backing that anyway. Just won't be backing that horse. No. Look, maybe it'll win, but it's a horse with so much pace. You must be worried about it getting the trip at the same time. I don't care how, like, they say it'll stay. They all say they'll stay until they don't stay. You know what I mean? Do you know? That's, it'll stay, no problem.
It's like a night out in Yall when you're a young fella. They all say they'll stay until they don't stay. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, look, it's 3.25 miles, an extra half a furlong even on top of that, and it's up hills and at the finish. And you need to stay at 3.5 miles. So it's basically like if it's running over 2.5. I know it's 1 over 3 mile and all that kind of stuff, right? But it hasn't at the top level done it, and you just don't know. It's a horse with so much pace. I'd be worried about it.
Could he just be a freak though, Johnny? Could he just be head and shoulders above them and one of the best horses of our generation?
Maybe so. Maybe so. That's a possibility. Of course it is. And he does all that stuff right now. Whether he'd be opposing him, maybe not, probably not. But I won't be backing him, put it that way.
So what are you giving him again?
I'm going to give him a 5.
5, okay. I'll give him a 7. I think he's exceptional. That is Galloping the Champs in the Gold Cup. And finally, last but by no means least, Allegory Devassi in the Mare's Chase. Obviously, things have changed since Sunday, with Impervious winning against the boys at Punchestown. But Allegory Devassi is in one of your Ante-Post bets for Cheltenham along with Facile Vega. So a mark at a 10 for Allegory Devassi?
I'd give her would have been an 8, just drop maybe back to 7. I do think that's boiling down to a 2-horse race at the same time. So she's entitled to a 7 all the same, you know what I mean? I think she only, if she beats Impervious, she'll win it. Like, and if you force me up against the wall now to pick one, I think I'd go Allegory Devassi, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. Just could be a real special mare, you know, the kind of way. Whereas Impervious, you kind of know how good she is good, very good, and she's a length better than Johnny with me.
The only thing I will say, and I discussed this with somebody before the race on Sunday, if Allegory Devassi was running in Sunday's race, she would have probably been odds-on favourite, even giving way to the boys. I think she would have been favourite.
She would have been a lot shorter than 3-1 anyway.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. So
yeah.
I think she has a little
class edge. I do too. Yeah, I do too. Okay. Now the other is a very likeable animal, all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Impervious, it is, and it's gutsy and it does everything right, and it's you know what I like about Impervious? It delivers when you need it. Like it needed good jumps at the last, both of its last 2 runs. If it didn't hit the fence properly, it was gone. It was beaten both races in Mallow as well. And it delivered when it needed to, and it's a dangerous opponent. I would favour Allegory Devassi slightly.
And a 7 for Allegory Devassi?
I give her a 7, yeah, 7,
okay,
yeah.
I'll give her an 8.5. I think Allegory Devassi is going to be very hard to beat in the mare chase. Good question, Johnny, wasn't it?
It was, absolutely.
Took a while.
Yeah.
You tired?
No, I'm okay, yeah.
You're okay. Stamina is Johnny's forte. There you go, Carol. Hopefully we got all the answers that you wanted there. And our final question this week comes in from Gary Comley. And Gary wants to know, do we think Willie Mullins will send Impere Pass to the Supreme along with Facile Vega, or move potentially Facile Vega to the Ballymore? Johnny Dineen, are you having sleepless nights about Impere Pass being the number 1 Willie Mullins hope for the Supreme Novice Hurdle after what he did in the Moscow Flyer Novice Hurdle at Punchestown on Sunday? You're smiling at me. You're smiling. I don't know what you're going to come out with here.
You're having a laugh for you. I'm sleepless nights about Impere Pass running in what? The Supreme Novices?
Yeah.
That's a hope. Sure, if it runs, we can run all it like, but sure, it won't win at the same time. I don't think it will anyway.
You weren't impressed.
And what's the question about switching the other guy to
the Ballymore? Yeah.
Not a hope. That won't happen in a million years. Like,
now, there's a lot of very shrewd judges in the Racing Post. A lot of very shrewdies now. Paul Keeley being one of them, who's utterly convinced that they'll switch. That Facile Vega might switch to the Ballymore.
Oh, stop! Are you joking me? Like, I only go by betting anyway. One horse he's 11-10 to win. You can lay 11-10 him to win the Supreme Novices, and he's 10-1 to win the Ballymore. That is the end of any argument about where he's going to run anyway, in my eyes. Like, geez, like there's no way in the world he's going to run in the Ballymore. Now, Impere Pass, I don't know where that's going. That could go for the Ballymore. It could go for the Supreme Novices. I don't know. But one thing,
you don't seem to care either.
No, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I wouldn't be opposing Facile Vega in any company anyway, and I wouldn't be worried about Impere Pass either, for that matter, if he did happen to turn up in the Supreme Novices. And the chances of Facile Vega turning up in any race bar the Supreme Novices is a million in my eyes.
I agree.
Well,
I agree. Like, I was only playing devil's advocate there for the crack, like, you know. But I agree.
But you'll always hear this time of the year. You'll always hear fellas going on about this. Will it run here? Will it run there? Most people keep things simple, and they run them in the races that the horses should run them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee you, if Constitution Hill wasn't as good, you'd have loon balls saying Lassie Mount should be running. Or not Constitution Hill. Facile Vega wasn't as good. Lassie Mount should be running in the Supreme Novices. Yeah. Or Blood Destiny should be running in it. You know what I mean? That kind of way. And it's the same with it. If Constitution Hill wasn't as good, you'd have fellas saying Facile Vega should be going for the Champion Hurdle. Just Sam Globe was going for the Champion Hurdle, wouldn't he? Envoy Adam was going for the Champion. Do you know
what?
What?
Our old putty Icy has a name for that, doesn't he?
What's
the
that?
Shrews.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Shrews, yeah.
Like they come up with these races that the first time a horse falls in a 3-mile chase, steered hurdle. Do you know what I mean? Or makes a mistake. Yeah.
The poor head stairs hurdle for all the trash over fences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Now, I just think Mullins, he'll keep it simple. Maybe Impere Pass, they'll probably run 2 in the race, all right. They have so many horses, they're going to run a second one. It could be Impere Pass. I'm not an Impere Pass convert at all just yet anyway. No. Like, what Impere Pass has done in my eyes anyway is that he's won a no race in Naas, and he went to Punchestown last week. He ran against 2 mares that would be 50-1 in the mares hurdle and beat him convincingly. Like maybe he's a grade 1 horse. I don't know whether he could be. Maybe he is. He may well be. But a grade 3 horse would do what he's already done.
I thought it was interesting. I watched the race on Sunday, and I was kind of like, that was nice, that was great. Yeah. And then the reaction on Twitter and betting, and it was like, he was very good, but he wasn't. I wasn't going, whoa.
He did what he's entitled to do at the same time. Like, I mean, if he was under any duress to beat those 2 horses, he was nowhere near being a good horse. Like put it this way, if you had to pick right now, no jockeys involved here. Who would you go for, Imperial Pass or Gaelic Warrior? In a 2.5 mile race.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Probably Gaelic Warrior.
Yeah, I would too, because I think he's more done. He's more done.
Yeah.
Like, no, and like maybe Imperial Pass is the second coming, but like what he has achieved so far, like his form is only adequate.
Now,
right?
I might add, we do film this show before racing on Tuesday, so at this stage, Gaelic Warrior could have been hammered. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, but I'd say I'm fairly
now,
safe.
the only thing I will say on Imperial Pass, for people wondering about the Supreme de Ballymore, in my spare time, I'm a journalist for the Racing Post,
okay.
when I'm not doing Up in the Ante, right? I did speak to Willie Mullins on Monday, and I asked him about Imperial Pass and what he thought of the performance, and he said, the first thing he said to me was, I think to be at his best, or to see him at his best, we need to go out and trip straight away. And then I asked him about his jumping, and I said he's a brilliant jumper. And he said, yeah, do you know what? A strongly run 2 miles would actually suit his jumping. So he kind of on one hand said he needs to go out and trip, on the other hand, a strongly run 2 miles will suit. But I got the impression from Willie, and I'm only guessing, I don't know, that he's going to be stepping up and trip. I think it's long odds on he goes for the Ballymore.
Well, the fact that he ran over 2:03.5 in Naas, was it 2:3 something in Naas, first pop? That's normally a stepping stone to a staying division, isn't it? Really, like, you know what I mean. You don't really run like Facile Vega, for all the staying that he's going to be doing. He's never ran past 2 miles, is he, Facile Vega? So, you know. So look, the bottom line to answer the guy's question is, I'm not worried about Imperial Pass. Not right now, anyway. You know what I mean? Facile Vega to me will run in the 2 mile race. I will fall down the ground in a heap if he doesn't turn up in the 2 mile race anyway. I just think that it's
I'll pick you up, Johnny. Right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. And
we have a review show afterwards.
So look, I'll be amazed if he doesn't turn up in the Super.
Final question, because this is run down, but final question, okay? Paul Keeley is saying that it was the worst bumper in our lifetime that Facile Vega won last year. The form has worked out terribly. Your authorised speed obviously was beaten in the Talwart. All these horses who have ran, I can't remember the exact stat, but they've ran so many times and they've only run so many races that the bumper is working out terrible. Now, my point on that is Redemption Day and James Escate are probably two of the best horses, and they got injured and they haven't run since. And American Mike obviously wasn't himself at Navan. So what do you say to Paul Keeley saying the bumper is terrible, we need to be taking on Facile Vega?
Well, I agree with your point. Is Redemption Day, James's Gate, and you can take American Mike out of the equation as well, because he didn't perform. That he's probably not right either. So there's three of the main horses in protagonists in that race that haven't had a chance to bolster the form for starters. And the second thing, and the most important thing in my eyes, it was run in an absolute monsoon quagmire swamp, and like you can't really take form literally out of it anyway. But the fact that this guy could overcome that kind of those adverse conditions and still win well, and he did beat American Mike. And look, I think his best run is in Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival. That's what you can judge Facile Vega more than anything anyway. And like to say that he wasn't like at his brilliant best in Cheltenham, probably right, but he still won, and he's still unbeaten, and he'll be unbeaten on the other side of Cheltenham too in my eyes anyway. I don't know. So
just to paraphrase there, Johnny Dineen is a big fan of Facile Vega. So it's performance of the week time here on Up in the Ante, where Johnny Dineen delivers his top 3 performances from the last 7 days. So take it away, Johnny. Number 3. Number 3, I'll go with Grey Dawning. He won the Leamington race in Saturday in Warwick. Good staying horse now. Like that turned into a fairly attritional contest, and I like the way I actually opposed him the previous day in Kempton, and I thought it might have been a bit unlucky to head out of the day, but when I looked at it again, I wasn't really. No, I was imagining stuff. So. Look, I thought he finished the race out well. It was a good, strong staying race. He's like a horse that could have a say in a race, like in Aintree maybe not so much the Albert Bartlett, but that Sefton novices race, that's probably like a race they'll target. Gelino Bello won it last
year.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't normally be as good a race as the Albert Bartlett, but he's a fairly high standard of horse now, and I like the way he finished out. And there was horses like beat out of sight in the race, you know, that kind of way. And there was goodish horses second. That was second. Destiny horse belonged to Tom Lacey. Yeah. And the third horse, Knowsley Road. The rest there were 20 lengths back to Mexico. Look, it was a fair race, and I'd say it's a fairish horse. Yeah. There you go. Number 3 is Grey Dawning. Number 2. Number 2 is I'm going to go with Westport Cove. Yes. In the bumper in Fairy House. This is a good horse now. I think he's a fair tool, yeah. And like Mullins, like to me, their bumper horses at Christmas aren't going to be contenders at Cheltenham. What I could see, they weren't anyway. Maybe they'll improve, but I didn't see anything that you'd say, yeah, Cheltenham bumper written all over it. This horse now, and okay, he beat Faulty, whose form is only okay, but...
No, he's a good horse. I'm telling you now.
Faulty?
He's a good horse.
Yeah, he's probably okay.
He got caught napping on him in Down Royal.
Yeah.
Right? Second the King of Kingsfield, the real King of Kingsfield. You didn't see the real King of Kingsfield at Leopardstown over Christmas, I'm afraid. But second the King of Kingsfield, got caught at Down Royal. He's a good horse, Faulty. I think he'll prove himself to be good. I think I was this close to tipping Westport Cove for the bumper this week.
Okay.
This close.
Right, okay. Yeah, look, I could see... I liked him. Sorry, I liked the Westport Cove. And do you know what I liked about him is when he started, he was all over the place. His head was going left, right and centre. And he was 2-1 in running, like, after going off eating money. But at least, and I hate jockeys that try and strangle him in behind and try to... Patrick Mullins had the brain to say, look, this isn't working. If I keep doing this for another 2 or 3 furlongs, I won't be winning anyway. So I have to leave him off. You know what I mean? But you see, continuously, you'll see fellas yanking and pulling and doing all sorts of mess. And they throw away the race. Whatever chance you have, you've got to leave them off. Because if you can't, like by restraining them for 6 or 7 furlongs and pulling them in behind horses, you throw away whatever chance you have of winning. If you don't take the bull by the horns and say, this is not working, I'm going to go to the front. That's all you can do in those instances. But at least he had the cop on to say, right, okay, we'll leave him go. But he did well to win after doing what he had done early on the race. Yeah. Now, he was well on top of the finish and he was never really getting beat. I'd say better ground will help him too, you know. Yeah. He could be, he's the makings of a fair horse, I'd say. He is a
proper horse, Westport, who won the bumper at Fairyhouse on Saturday. And sometimes you surprise me now, Johnny. Sometimes we get to number 1 and I say, oh, this is obvious. It's going to be like Brave Man's Game at Christmas or something. And then that horse doesn't make the top 3 at all. But I'd be fairly sure now. I'd back my selection this week at long odds on to be number 1. I think it's going to be Impervious.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I tell you, I
fall down and roll around in the ground. Impervious didn't make your top 3.
She was Impervious was in a few of our top 3s already. Do you know what I mean?
Well, not the real one though.
She was in. I gave her.
Oh, sorry, weeks before. Yeah.
I put her in from Wexford and I put her in from Cork, so I couldn't put her in all the time. So she won't mind.
You're showing her too much love.
I'm leaving her out for this week.
She's a big fan of the show, actually.
Yeah, I know.
So where did your number 1 run? Ireland or England?
Ireland.
On what day?
Saturday.
Blood Destiny?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Blood Destiny got in fellas we said it was no race and they left it off in front and they didn't even take it on properly.
It was an interesting race to watch now.
It was. I mean, there was there was a touch of the boodles about some of the ones behind it.
There was. They all got a bit of boodleitis, I think.
Yeah. Look, but saying that, it'd take your eye out at the same time, that horse. You know what I mean? With his jumping, and I just love the way it left them all back into the race and just scooted off again. You know what I mean? Like, I know they'd give it a President's race, but they wouldn't have beat it anyway, would they? Like, and now it got a President. It did get a solo and everything, but it definitely would worry you if you back Glossimo to see this horse. I think anyway. I think it's definitely a credible opponent, definitely. No.
Yeah, and because he won by so far, he can't run in the boodles.
No, he's the notion of the boodles.
So the two of them have to go for the triumph.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they will be first and second favourite on the day.
Oh, they will, yeah, they will. And the favourite will be whichever town it rides. It'll probably be Lossimo. But even listening to him afterwards, you got the impression that there was no certainty that he'd ride Lossimo.
No, I spoke to him. I was working in Fairyhouse on Saturday night. I asked him to compare the two, and he said it's so hard with juveniles because they improve so quickly. So he said Blood Destiny had improved so much from Cork to now. He says you never know how much improvement, and he's... Yeah.
Like you just said, there was no offers he'd ride Lossimo up to last Saturday. Yeah. After that performance, there's some sort of betting in which one he'll ride. Look, maybe he will ride Lossimo, but Blood Destiny's strong stayer. Apparently, like everyone seems to think that Lossimo is a kind of a speed horse, you know, which mightn't be suited by that.
But she's just not that big, I don't think.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, this is probably a fine big horse. Look, I thought he was hugely impressive. I know he got a President's race, but I'd say he's the makings of a very, very decent horse anyway.
So there you go. Sorry, Impervious. Johnny Dineen's performance of the week is Blood Destiny. So that was Johnny Dineen's performance of the week. Now it's time for his Eyecatcher of the week. What caught your eagle eye, Johnny?
Look, the horse... The racing was lights, I suppose, for the weekend, but a horse that should have won, in my eyes, but didn't win, was Galoodan against Hitch and Jackin in Wetherby. On Saturday.
Spell that for us now, because you know with the Cork accent and everything, that's not easy now.
Galudon. Galoodan.
Okay.
Yeah, it's belonged to Harry Whittington.
Yes.
And Sean Quinlan rode it against Hitch and Jack in that race on Saturday. Look, he was coming to win. I think Quinlan thought that he was going to win kind of quarter snug, you know what I mean, or without giving it a hard race kind of stuff. And suddenly he didn't get there anyway after fluffing the last. I wasn't very happy with him anyway. How much I thought it should have won. I thought it should have won. And if you watch the race again, he gave it about 2 or 3 like light taps. Gave it one near even at the finish, where it didn't even matter because the race was already over. About 20 yards to go, waste of time. But look, he's a horse that will stay well. That was a 2.5 mile race. He'd stay 3 mile, no problem. He was second to Journey with me in a bumper over here, in a point-to-point bumper in Gordon. He came out of Sam Curley's. He's a certainty to win next time out in my eyes anyway, because he has one really poor run in Chepstow, but apart from that his form is fine, and this time of the year the races will be getting weaker. He will definitely win next time in my eyes anyway.
There you go. Galudon, trained by Harry Whittington, is Johnny Dineen's Eyecatcher of the Week. So folks, what you want to know now is what's happening this week, and we're going to preview 5 races on Saturday, Johnny Dineen. We're going to kick off with the new one hurdle, called after the famous Nigel Twiston Davis trained horse. Do you remember the new one?
I do well, yeah.
Good horse. Yeah. Is Nige and Sam going to win it again with I Like to Move It? I think they might.
Would you think so?
I think they might.
Yeah, look,
I think Haydock is going to suit him much better.
I think the ground in Haydock this time of year to be dire, though, don't it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, mightn't be great though.
Oh, geez, I just wouldn't. It's a desperate place. Like, it's real Bermuda Triangle stuff, isn't it? When the ground is bad. Like, I don't know. I looked at this race and I could see no horse
finishing. We will have no finishers.
No,
Zero.
You'll have finished, but the ground didn't suit anything really in the betting. Like, the only horse that did suit was Meteor, who ran absolutely stinker.
Oh Lord, yeah. Jesus.
That couldn't have run any worse.
He got to a hurdle and just said, no, not jumping that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He kind of half refused the hurdle down the far side. Like, Epatante has no form on Haydock kind of stuff anyway.
Probably won't run if it's that bad, will it?
Will it? Yeah, but it won't get many better chances to win soft races like this.
Yeah.
I Like to Move It has no form whatsoever, and neither has First Street really. Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have a bet in the race for that reason. I wouldn't have a bet. I don't like the look of the race. Maybe you go down to the outsiders; they're impossible to fancy at the same time. But look, I think I'd leave it off. I Like to Move It was pretty disappointing the last day too, wasn't he? Like,
2.5 Cheltenham. I think Haydock will suit I Like to Move It much better. I think flat track, like he ran a cracker in the Betfair hurdle at Newbury last year.
Well, if he handles the ground, he's a great chance.
Yeah, I think he's a great chance.
But you're talking like Haydock is, it's almost like they have their own ground there, don't they? Like, you know what I mean? It's
not grass at all. Is it?
I don't know what it is, but it's like paddy field, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? They just sink into it, and horses get beaten by field in the place. Like, it wouldn't be a place for me now. And even I heard there was a Twiston Davis actually saying that I Like to Move It wasn't going to Haydock at the end of January because the ground is always too bad there.
All right, well, forget about my tips.
So they've had a rethink anyway. Okay. Look, I suppose they haven't much option. Like, it's a soft enough race if you will handle the ground. For me, it wasn't the race to have a bet in though.
Okay. So no, we last bet 365 for a price on no finishers there, Johnny, right? In the new one hurdle. Okay, we'll stick with Haydock. The Peter Marsh Chase, Johnny.
The Peter Marsh Chase is that's going to take some getting, isn't it? Like,
what about Dusart if he ran here? Would you give Dusart a chance?
He's rated about
155.
55, yeah.
Bit of class.
The horse that I thought had a chance in it now, looking down through him, it's a difficult race. It's a horse called French Paradox, is it? It fed in Fast Last there the last day. Like, Fast Last now is Haydock like ground, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, that's
Haydock light, yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But will he be out of the handicap? He will be if some of the top ones stand their ground. Look, I think he has a good chance. He will stay and he will go on the ground. But it is a hard race though, at the same time.
Very
again, like, you could be going well there at the fourth last and be pulled up at the second last in the race like that. You know what I mean? That kind of way. Land up on top of the fence, that kind of stuff. But like it's and you know, even when they come to the last and you're on one in Haydock. In a place like that, the jockey nearly has to lift it out of him. He's almost getting it. He's almost doing that.
They nearly stop when they land.
Yeah, exactly. It's an awful place, Haydock. I think it is anyway. This time of the year it is anyway.
Okay. If officials at Haydock are watching, I apologise on Johnny's behalf.
Kirkright or something.
Yeah.
He'd be happy with me.
You won't be welcome to Haydock anyway, Johnny. Okay, moving across to Ascot, we've got a Grade 2 mares hurdle.
I looked at that race and Dan Skelton had Molly Ollie's wishes That ran awful.
Awful.
Yeah, in Kempton.
Yeah, I'd be worried now.
I would too. The horse I like is his other one. If it runs, is Get a Tonic.
Yeah.
Like I presume the two of them won't turn up. But if I had to have a bet on that, I will back Get a Tonic if it's stable selected from that outfit.
Now the one I like in this is a horse that you can pronounce quite well. It's trained by Anthony Honeyball, which is called
Kakelika. Kakelika? Yeah, I think so.
You did better in rehearsals, Johnny.
Yeah. It's a French name anyway.
Kaliliquat.
I think it's a Cock Ellicott, I'd say.
Cock Ellicott, yeah. Who bumped into the winner of the Pertemps qualifier from Warwick on Saturday last time. And I think she's improving. And I think while the likes of Molly Ollie's Wishes this season has been a little bit disappointing.
But Glimpsegala won that race, wasn't it? Yeah. But the horse I'm on about, Get a Tonic, was in there with 12 stone in his back. And Skelton's horses ran bad around that time of the year. It was well back too. No, it didn't run too bad, but I think it might be better than that. And this isn't the handicap here, like, you know what I mean? So
it's Get a Tonic for you?
It is.
And who is it for me?
Kakelika. Yeah.
With your French pronunciation, you're spoiling us, Johnny. Okay, moving on to the Bet365 Chase, sponsored by our sponsors of this show. I like last year's winner. I like him a lot. Phoenix Way.
All right, yeah, Phoenix Way. I looked down through this race. The two that I thought had a chance in it, Your Darling, who was impressive today at won in Ascot, and maybe Danny Kerwin, like a horse that could run well in a race like this. Again, it would be a very small stakes race for me now, but just Phoenix Way, he's 10 years of age. I hate 10-year-olds, and they're just that year too old normally to be anywhere but on the
my
downwards.
thinking with Phoenix Way is, I think 2 mile 5 Ascot, creeping into contention. He's really good form on the track. I would say this has been on Harry Fry's mind all year to go back for this race. I think he's only £2 higher in the handicap. I thought he caught the eye last time. I think Phoenix Way is going to be a big player.
Regal Encore wins these races, he's about 15. You know what I mean? So I suppose a 10-year-old doesn't know. He's a young fella compared to him.
He is only a Gosson, yeah. But look, if you were to have a bet in the race at the moment,
Your Darling, maybe.
Your Darling, okay.
Maybe,
And moving on to the big one, it is the big showdown of the weekend. It's the Clarence House Chase at Ascot on Saturday, and it is Energumene versus Edward Stone, and we've only got one other potential runner in the lineup, Amarillo Sky. I know it doesn't really matter if others run in the race and have no chance, and you may as well just have 2 runners, but there's just a bad look and a bad stench about only getting 3 runners for Grade 1, isn't it?
Look, I suppose the fact that Mullins has so many horses, like they're not going to run them against each other, are they? Like he could you'd have Blue Lord, Jacques Persois, even the horse of McManus, the Gentleman de Me or whatever. But none of them are going to come over to take on Energumene. Like when he's going to probably think he's going to win the race as it is. Like whereas Nubin Negra is probably waiting for better ground. Yeah. There's not that many horses around. You know what I mean? So that's the problem.
Editor de Geeth, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose maybe they want to keep these horses fresh. I couldn't tell you know. Like,
well, what's going to win anyway? That's the most. Have you a strong opinion?
Oh, I have. Absolute monster one. A monster opinion. I have anyway. I might be wrong, but I'll be putting do you know when you go to the casinos to get the big chips?
Yeah.
What colour are they?
Are they red?
I couldn't tell you now. I haven't been in a casino in about 30 years. I'd
right,
say.
Okay.
But I'll be going.
Go on, what are we pushing them in on?
Pushing them in on the favourite.
All in.
Oh, yeah, I'm a
all in Energumene.
As the fellas will watch now, I'm a favourites man anyway. Have you obviously not done his back favourites? So, but I will be absolutely emptying for this. Absolutely selling out. I think it's the best 6 to 4.
The neighbour's garage is gone. Where are you going down the street?
Yeah, I don't know what I'll be having on it anyway, but it'll be a max play for me.
Really?
At 6 to 4. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I could nearly tell you what he's going to win by.
Go on, what's he going to win by?
I don't know. Your man will go off in front, maybe Amarillo Sky. The other guy will probably take it up, maybe third last, Energumene. Go on. Your man will track him through, and he just won't be able to pass him. That's my reading of the race, isn't it?
And like you're looking at 4 to 6, 4 to 7. You think this is a great price?
I do, absolutely. Sell out 4 to 6, yeah. I can't see it getting beat. No.
So just to play devil's advocate a little, Edward Stone was very good in the Single Creek.
Yeah.
He's won an Arkle that's working out really well now, even though at the time we didn't think it was very good. He had a minor blip, obviously, at Kempton. What makes you think that Energumene is so much better than him?
Well, I tell you what I think here. Now, this is my only reading of it.
Johnny, that's why you're here, yeah?
If Energumene turns into the straight in front in Ascot, there isn't a horse born will be able to pass him. including Edwardstone.
Well, Shishkin passed him last year.
Yeah, he did, but look at the state of him afterwards now. It's going to take some effort to get by him, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I just don't think... I think he'll get first run on Edwardstone as well, because that's the way Alan King, they want to ride their horses out the back. You know what I mean?
You're not a fan of that, Johnny?
No, I don't like that stuff. And I'd always go with the one in front of the other in a 2-horse race. I much prefer to be on the one in front than mind the one trying to pass out.
Okay.
So I think it's a absolute certainty. Yeah.
Okay. How surprised would you be if we're standing here this time next week, which you will be?
I won't be if it's beat.
Be talking to myself.
Yeah, having an EGM somewhere, yeah.
EGM. So how surprised would you be if we're back here next week, same time, same place, and I'm saying to you now, right, Johnny, we're reviewing the Clarence House Chase. God, Edwardstone was very good. He's now long odds on for the Queen Mother Champion Chase. How surprised would you be?
I'll be very surprised. I will be. I will. I'll be very surprised and very broke as well. That'll be a lot worse than being surprised.
I'll sub your train, right? I'll pay for your train next week.
I could live with being surprised. But no, look, I fancy him, and I fancy him strong, and like he's an obvious favourite. Sure, anybody could pick him out. But like I do think he'll win. I do. I fancy him very, very strongly.
And you will be putting your money where your mouth is.
I will. It'll be a max bet for me anyway. Yeah.
There you go. It's Energamine for Johnny Dineen in the Clarence House Chase, and that's what's happening this week. Hopefully, Energamine wins for Johnny Dineen, or he might be back next week. It's time for DJ versus Johnny, our weekly charity bet competition. And the poor old charity, is not doing too well over us in the last few weeks, Johnny.
No.
It remains 550 quid versus 350 quid. I'm still 200 quid in front of you.
You are, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't go too well. No. Harbour Lake conditions.
We'll have to put in a few quid ourselves to take the
we'll
dirty look off it.
We'll have to supplement losses. So looking at our two bets from last week, I went for Harbour Lake in the Lanzarote. Well backed, 14-1. I backed it at. I think it went off much shorter, but no, conditions just went completely against Harbour Lake. Cade Boy was very disappointing.
Ran terrible. Like after.
I thought he jumped well early. Jumped like brilliant.
A gazelle, a stag. I was over the far. I said, "Geez, I haven't half enough on this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was taking lengths out of them.
He was. He couldn't imagine how he'd jump as well as he did. And next thing, he just didn't ever put him into the race, and he couldn't get into it then in the end. But look, again, front two all the way. You know what I mean? Like you've no chance coming behind it. So he gave away 4 or 5 lengths there at one stage for nothing, just sitting up on him. I don't know what he'd be doing, but anyway, look. Ultimately, he ran bad now at the same time. You couldn't blame the jockey or anything in the end.
So this is, I have a good feeling about this week, Johnny, okay? I have a good feeling. And my charity bet, who I was actually going to put up for Saturday, actually runs now on Thursday, and I think he's an even bigger good thing than he was on Saturday. Entered on Saturday, now runs in the 1:15 at Wincanton on Thursday. It is Stellar Magic from the Philip Hobbs stable. Actually won a point-to-point for Johnny Fogarty. Beat a good horse called Pay the Piper in this point-to-point. I thought he was going to be a bit of a star. He won his first 2 races at Taunton. First time out on bottomless ground. Then he beat Time to Tinker at Taunton. And I said, this is going to be a real nice horse. Now, he's obviously had a few issues. We haven't seen the best of him. He was pulled up on his return to action when he was really well backed. He went off 2-1 favourite. But he ran on the 26th of December, just after Christmas, at Wincanton in a Pertemps qualifier. And he was second. He ran an absolute cracker, I thought, to steal a march of Nicky Henderson's. Kept going, kept at it. It was the Stellar Magic that I had seen early on in his career. I think he's back. He's gone up £4 to a mark of 135 from 131. I think he's at least a 140 horse. I'll be disappointed. He's top weight on Thursday in the 115 at Wincanton, but I'd be surprised if he's not a different league to these. So there you go. 115 Wincanton Thursday. My charity bet is Stellar Magic. What have you got for us, Johnny?
My one is I went with Butch. A horse called Butch.
Butch.
Yeah, Butch.
Butch.
He's running in the last race on Saturday at Ascot, 4:10. It's a 2.5.5 novice hurdle.
Okay.
He's a 6-year-old horse by Cave Tarry. Adrian Heskin rides him for the McNeil. Ollie Murphy trains it. He was second to Crambo in a bumper. Then he had his little peep over hurdles. And his last run finished fairly well again, very well. Finished second to a horse called Supreme Gift, who actually is down to reoppose him in this, but he'll have a penalty.
Okay.
Now, the extra 2 furlongs are going to suit this, the long home straight. And he's a horse that's improving, and the trip will be no issue to him anyway. I fancy him quite strong anyway. I think he's a great chance.
Okay, and his name again is?
Butch Cassidy, Butch.
Butch and the time and the place?
It's the 4:10 in Ascot on Saturday.
4:10 Ascot Saturday. Butch is Johnny Dineen's charity bet. So Upping The Ante viewers, it is the moment you've been waiting for. Our latest selections for the 2023 Cheltenham Festival. And Johnny, we spoke before the show. You are very, 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 very sweet on this horse.
Yeah. Look, I am. I think the horse I picked is Home by the Lee in the Stairs Hurdle. Look, I'm looking down through the runners here, and that Flooring Porter's going for 3 in a row. Not an easy thing to do.
No.
The horse of Willie Mullins' Classical Dream is probably
He's touch and go for the race now.
I'd say that, yeah, exactly. And then you're into Blazing Cal, who's more than touch and go, I'd say. Less than touch and go, even, or whatever you like to put it. Like when Charles Burns was saying 50-50, that's never a good sign, is it? Like 50-50 at
He's
best.
more touch than go.
Yeah, you know, so then all of a sudden you're into T. Hoopo, who has a horrific run there back along in the Champion Hurdle. One soft ground in here for starters. And then you're into Paisley Park, and like there's nothing in this race as far as I could see. Like there's a good chance it'll cut up a lot. And 5-1, like I was looking down, like everyone I suppose at the time, and myself included, thought that when he beat Bob Allinger it was a fluke, you know. And everyone was cribbing about Bob Allinger, like he's gone, that like Home by Lee ran away from him. But then the way he travelled over the extra distance in Leopardstown, he looked like a completely different horse. And like I looking back at his form, I had never realised that previous to his run in Navan, he ran out in a race in Down Road. He was going to come home alone in that race. So he got knocked out in the race Salvador Ziggy was in. So even last year he's only beaten 7.5 lengths like in his first go at the race. And like on top of that, like he was 150 nearly rated chaser, and he couldn't jump a fence. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I just think he's the right age. I think this is his year, and I could see him when the time comes not having a whole lot to beat, and like he's in around
6-1 with Bet365, yeah, big price.
Whatever. I could see him he'll be looking to be half that on the day in my eyes anyway.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would say he'd be less than 3-1. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I can see it being a pretty ordinary race. If it cuts up the way I'm expected to, I can see it being a pretty poor contest.
Okay, so there you go. He's very strong in this one. It is Home by the Lee in the Stairs Hurdle for Johnny Dineen at 6-1 Bet365. You've added him to the list, Johnny, and I think you're on a winner there.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so.
Yeah. Okay. Home by the Lee, like yourself.
That's it, yeah.
Down in Cork. Okay, my latest selection is not as, I wouldn't be as confident as you, Johnny. It's probably, you know, earlier on in the show we were talking about cliff horses.
Okay.
This is virgin towards one of mine, and there'll be people that'll be like going, he's not tipping that. But I just have this vision in my head that for the last 12 months, Dan Skelton has had one race and one race only in mind for Third Time Lucky. Now I'm completely guessing here, so I haven't a clue if I'm right or wrong. But I think Third Time Lucky at 20-1 for the Grand Annual Bet365 is value. Now hear me out here, okay? Hear me out, okay? Don't be exasperated
right.
just yet. And I know there's people they've probably switched off, Johnny, right? I think he's down to a mark of 143 now. I think he ran off 147 at Warwick on Saturday. I just wanted to see, all I wanted to see at Warwick was fluent jumping and exuberance, and that he's still enjoying his racing. He's had a wind operation after his second start of the season, and I thought he jumped well on the side against your very impressive winner, Haddon de Zobo, wasn't it?
Haddix de Zobo,
Haddix de Zobo, okay. I thought he jumped well down the side, a little bit to his right, but I thought he jumped well. I knew turning in he wasn't going to lay a finger, and he didn't, and he was beaten a long way. But if the Grand Annual is the primary objective, I think this horse is going to go to Cheltenham, spectacularly well handicapped. And the key thing is the ground, Johnny. Like, you go back to the start of last season, he won twice at Cheltenham. He won at the Showcase meeting and he won at the November meeting at Cheltenham on decent ground. He bolted up on both occasions and was vying for favouritism for the Arkle. Then it went a bit astray, but he still got good form against Edward Stone. Form that has worked out quite well. This season, he started off, he was a short price favourite for the Holden Gold Cup at Exeter, didn't go well. Then he went to Ascot, Keelan Woods gave him a confidence booster. Back at Warwick, a little bit of improvement again. He's had the wind operation. He's turned into a well-handicapped horse. The way he jumps in a Grand Annual is going to be absolutely perfect for him. And he's going to get a fast pace, and I think he's going to get decent ground. So I think 20-1 Third Time Lucky. I know he's not a finisher, Johnny, but could he be just so well-handicapped that he might need to be a finisher? Could he?
Look, I suppose, I know his record at the track is probably decent, but they were in like 4 and 5 runner races. I wonder would he have the battle for a race like the Grand Annual, a 20 runner race where you're bumping off each other and that kind of stuff. Yeah. He looks like a fella to me that could down tools in a flash, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And some of these horses, when they start dropping down the ratings, there's no limit to where they can go and not win in my eyes. Sometimes, you know what I mean? That they can. He could go to. I know you said he's well handicapped off 1-4-3, but some of these horses could go to 1-3-3 and not be able to win. And I don't know.
Okay. Can I change my bet?
No, look, the Grand Daniel's off a hard race anyway, and look, he probably has a chance.
Do you know what I think? I have this feeling. I wonder when it gets to Cheltenham in March. He's been held up. I wonder will they let him roll in the Grand Annual? If he's down to a mark of 1, if he goes straight to the Grand Annual now and runs off 1-4-3 on decent ground, and Harry Skelton lets him roll, he's going to be very hard to beat.
Well, he'd probably have a better chance of being let roll, because when you're ridden from the back in a race like the Grand Annual, like you need.
Here we go again.
No, but you need so much luck and running. Like you don't need anything to fall in front of you, or even jump across you, or anything like that. Like if it puts you out of your kilter, you're in trouble. Like because the ones in front are gone away. I didn't. Did that win from the front in this race? A horse belonged to Ben Case when you're.
Did
yeah, like a 66 to 1 shot.
Yeah,
like, you know
did
I mean?
yeah. I can't
so
think
I think like it would be no disadvantage to be up there anyway at the very least. Okay, Belvano and them horses came from behind and won this race too. So you can come from the back too. But
so Johnny, earlier on we had a question from the crowd and we had to rank the 10 horses who are 7-4 shorter out of 10. For their chances at Cheltenham, what mark would you give third time lucky in the Grand Annual?
I'd be giving
-2.
I'd be giving you a big whopping zipper. I think a 0 now would be called for.
Dan, if you're watching Dan and Harry, prove him wrong.
No, I'd be surprised if that won, but I don't know. I might be wrong. It won't cost me any money if he wins, though. At the same time, I'd say it's.
Johnny, I'll buy you a pint. So cheer.
Right, okay.
Cheer, you don't even drink. I'll buy you an Fanta or something. Okay. Right. There you go. Third time lucky, 20 to 1 for the Grand Annual is my latest selection for the 2023 Cheltenham Festival. So we're going to have a quick look at our Ante-Post picks so far, and not much has happened in the last week, Johnny. I suppose from your point of view, just your tips are scrolling down on the screen here now. From your point of view, like Fakir de Dares, you've tipped to 20 to 1. There are doubts over Allaho. Fakir de Dares could go to Ascot in February, the race he won last year, I suppose. But Fakir de Dares is an interesting one because he could go in a 5 to 1 shot into the race if Allaho doesn't show up, could he?
Oh yeah, that's sorry because if you take Allaho out of it, it's a very, very winnable race. Very winnable race. And I was kind of thinking at the start if Allaho didn't turn up, but even if Allaho does turn up now without a run, they might be saying, look, he may well be vulnerable. We'll give it a go, even though he's like 0 from 4 or something against him or whatever. Anytime he met him, Allaho took care of Fakir de Dares, but it just might be the year to catch him. Maybe who knows? So he might run against him anyway. So it's probably not. It's probably fair odds anyway. 20 to 1, definitely. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And you've got obviously Time Hill back in the running for the Brown Advisory after a minor blip. How happy are you at the moment with your Ante-Post picks?
I should look. I'm happy enough. I mean, these things change. I've been going to years to these places, and you'd have 5 or 6 good bets. They'd all get beat. You know what I mean? That kind of way. You'd be on yokes at 20 to 1 or 5 to 2, and every one of them get twisted. And then the next thing you have something that you'd forgotten about, and they would win. You know what I mean? That you'd say you'd written off, and it'd pop up at like 16 to 1. You said, "Geez, I backed that Ante-Post." You know what I mean? That kind of way. So you just don't like these things can change in a flash anyway, and you'll find it maybe one of them will win it. Probably double the price I tipped it at. You know what I mean? And the ones that go short won't win at all. That kind of thing.
Hopefully, there's a few winners amongst them, Johnny. My list is scrolling down there. Obviously, mine are apart from Am I Right, who Johnny tipped at 40 to 1. Mine are slightly bigger prices than yours. Exactly, so I just need one or two to click. Now I thought that last year, and I had a barrel full of seconds. But Sander Clegane is the one that I'm starting to get really excited about. I think his form is working out. I think he's a good horse, and I'm hoping he'll go for the Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival.
He will too, won't he?
Like latest exhibition did for Paul Nolan. Yeah, he's the one tipped up at 18 to 1 for the Albert Bartlett. He's quite strong in the machine as well, isn't he?
Yeah. I hadn't looked at him now, to be honest, Well, that Dublin Racing Festival will bust a lot of bubbles, won't it? Like, you know what I mean? So
separate the wheat from the chaff.
Exactly.
Exactly. Absolutely. So there you go. That's a quick look at our Ante-Post pick so far. So, folks, that's it for episode 11 of Upping The Ante in association with Bet365. Looking forward to the week ahead, Johnny. I'll tell you what, we haven't mentioned it so far, but I better get it in there. Might I, my beloved Might I, is entered not once, not twice, but 3 times this week. He's entered at Ascot and he's entered twice at Linkfield. So, Might I...
Well, Linkfield is on this weekend, that's right,
We'll keep an eye on Might I, right?
Right, okay.
Hopefully this time next week we're coming back and you're going, you were right about him. You're right about him. So, Harry, if you're watching, please do the business with Might I, okay? I'm still convinced he's a good horse. Fingers crossed. Exactly. What's the plans this week? Anything exciting happening?
No, what race meetings around us?
So we've got Thurles on Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah, Thurles on Sunday. Killarney, yeah.
Oh, right, I didn't know that, yeah. I thought that used to be on a Thursday, no?
No, they switched
Oh, they
it a few
moved
years
it, yeah.
ago, yeah.
Okay, right, I didn't even know that.
Will you go, no?
Oh, 1,000,000 to 1. Million
Right.
to 1 to be at that, no. No, I won't. The next meeting I'll be at, it'll be Cheltenham.
Okay.
I would think anyway. I couldn't see myself being anywhere else anyway, really, you know.
Well, Johnny, the very best of luck with your punting week.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. That's it. That is it for week 11 of Upping The Ante in association with Bet365. I've been David Jennings. He's been Johnny Dineen. Thanks for watching.